And welcome to another episode of Strangers in the Alps, a movie podcast.
About movies.
It's about movies, where every week we discuss movies in an in-depth and somewhat rambling fashion.
About
but we have a
movies.
good time. About what?
Movies.
About movies. I'm Dan.
I'm Travis.
That's Frank.
I'm eating spaghetti.
And that's Sam. Yes,
the
you
thing,
are. It sounds
but
delicious.
the thing is, Frank is eating alphabet spaghetti, and it spells out movies.
So,
New logo.
okay, Travis, what movie did we watch? Hang on. Read us what's on back of the VHS
You know
tape
I don't have that
of
ready.
the movie that we watched this week.
Read us the log line.
The log line?
Hold on.
We don't call it the log line. I love log
Back
line.
of the VHS.
Okay, Travis, why don't you read the back of the VHS tape for the movie that we watched this week?
Brandon Lee is sensational. Rolling Stone. The best movie of its kind since the original Batman. Chicago Tribune. This year's most talk about film. Catch the explosive, action-packed hit that thrilled moviegoers and dazzled critics everywhere. Brandon Lee, rapid fire, plays Eric Draven, a young rock guitarist who, along with his fiancée, is brutally killed by a ruthless gang of criminals. Exactly 1 year after his death, Eric returns, watched over by a hypnotic crow, to seek revenge, battling the evil crime lord and his band of urban thugs who must answer for their crimes. And that's all I'll say. It goes on for like 2 more paragraphs.
Okay, here's the thing. You did a wonderful thing. You actually explained the entire plot. We don't even have to summarize the movie anymore because that right there, my friend,
That's
is the
true.
plot of this movie.
That's true.
Which is called The Crow.
The Crow.
Starring Brandon Lee.
And
Yes. We don't have to do a summary. That is the
Well,
plot.
isn't that supposed to be the whole point of reading the back of the VHS stuff each week?
But a lot of times
I
it
don't
isn't.
do it.
A lot of times
I
it
can't
isn't,
get it.
though.
I can't get it.
They'll do stuff that isn't really the movie, or they'll give you a couple of sentences that doesn't really
I
explain
like
it well.
when it's not at all the movie that we
Oh,
watched.
no.
It's
Yeah.
like
Didn't
completely.
that happen to one?
Yeah, and
couple
Travis
of
pointed
times.
out
Yeah.
that this is not what
Yeah,
happens
this
in the
is
movie.
not the movie.
What was it? Do you remember?
It was, but I remember it was like explaining the plot of The Big Lebowski or something. But I think my favorite cover I've ever seen, it was a bootleg, so that explains it. But it was for Zombieland. I was at like a garage sale and someone was selling bootlegs in 2009, and
Wait, when did Zombieland come out?
2009.
Okay.
So it was I looked at it, I was like, okay, like the front cover looked like, Zombieland. Then I flipped the back, and what the back was, it was the plot description for Shaun of the Dead, and it was the back, and it was a picture. The back was a picture of Simon Pegg running with his like white shirt on and the red tie, but they photoshopped out Simon Pegg's face, and they put
Jesse Eisenberg?
no, not Jesse Eisenberg,
Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson's face on Simon Pegg.
You should have bought it.
I
just for
bought
that.
it. I bought
you-
it.
Boy,
FBI. I bought it just because I thought it was funny. The
Not to
image.
watch it.
I did not watch the movie.
That is a bootleg.
Yeah. No, I don't know whatever happened to
I
it.
saw
Why-
Zombieland.
Why? What?
Why go to the
That's
effort
all right.
of photoshopping the face when you could have just put the right back of the cover?
Yeah,
on?
and it was the plot line of Shaun of the Dead.
I guess for me, after seeing Shaun of the Dead, all other like witty zombie movies just no.
Yeah.
Zombieland to me was just if there had not been a Shaun of the Dead, I think I would have appreciated it more. But Shaun of the Dead just nailed it so well.
Are we doing
I
that?
just
I would
really
love to do
wasn't.
that.
Zombieland
Which one?
actually,
Shaun?
you could pretty much you can tell.
Yeah.
Zombieland started out. They pitched it as a show for HBO.
Okay.
So you can tell exactly. So it was the scene where Emma Stone leaves Jesse Eisenberg and she drives off. That was supposed to be the cliffhanger. So that's all they had written. Then it got greenlit and they were like, oh shit, we got to come up with an ending. So that whole carnival theme park sequence at the end was written like way later.
They came up with a good ending. Then.
Yeah.
So the movie we saw was called The Crow,
Oh, yeah,
in
let's
case
talk about this
anybody's
week's
taking
movie.
notes. How about initial thoughts, pre-thoughts? Let's wrap around. Let's go around the
I'll
room.
go last.
Okay, I'll go first. I'd heard of the movie. I had never seen the movie. I didn't really know much about the movie. I knew one fact about the movie, which we will discuss later, but I never saw it.
Did
So-
you think it was about a crow?
No, I didn't. Actually, honestly, though, I didn't know what it was about. So that was kind of cool. And I didn't read about it, so when I watched it, I was watching it with fresh eyes. And I don't want to say I didn't want to see it. I just really, I don't know. Time to watch a movie. Those are my thoughts.
Well, it's our podcast.
Frank, go.
Frank, my first question to you is, how old were you when you saw the movie the first time?
Very young. I don't remember how
In
young.
theaters? Did you see it in theaters?
No, this was
I've been
this
doing
was
that.
on
Oh,
video.
it would have been like
VH
3.
No, 94.
I think we rented it when I was young, and it was definitely a VHS the first time I saw it. But that's as much as I remember. I just remember thinking the cover looked really cool.
Agree.
Yeah.
It's a very simplistic, but like
Was it just him walking through that?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It was very enticing as far as covers go. It was very like, ooh, this
What's
looks
it about?
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sam?
I remember in high school, I had never seen this movie up until for this podcast, but it was such a big thing in high school. I remember I would go to Hot Topic all the time.
Yep.
And it was everywhere. So I was like, oh, I really want to watch it, but I just never got a chance to.
Travis?
I can take one sentence from Frank and Sam each, and I got mine. I thought the cover was cool when I was a kid, and then every time I walked in the Hot Topic, I had seen this only one other time before I watched it.
How old were you? Approximately.
It was somewhere, I don't know, this was probably in like 2000, sometime between 2009 and 2012.
That's a
So
big
you were an
gap.
Yeah, I was an adult. That's 3 years.
Still.
I was an adult when I watched it. I think it's because I was flipping through the Netflix carousel, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to watch this.
Gotcha.
And that's what happened. And then I actually will say, because Dan, you always point out that I watch bad movies. I have
Yes, you
never, and I refused. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, like if I like the first movie, sometimes I'll be like, well, the sequel's probably bad, but I'll watch it. It can be funny. I have never watched a Crow sequel, and
I didn't know there were any.
There was a bunch.
There's like 3 or 4,
There's the
no?
Crow City of Angels, I think it's called.
We'll have to. I'd love to get into the sequels only because, well,
Yeah.
obviously they had to
Well, they
recast it.
Well, they didn't even finish.
Yeah.
They didn't finish principal photography when Brandon Lee died.
Well, then let's talk about it now before we jump in.
Yeah, let's just talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I don't want to say it's the biggest thing about the movie, but I feel like that's what really set that movie.
Yeah.
Raised the interest of the film for sure,
And
because
it-
he died on the set. He was shot. It was supposed to be a blank gun. Apparently, some kind of a part of a bullet was lodged into the
Yeah.
barrel.
Can I interject?
Sure, of
I read
course.
up on it yesterday. It was because they had to cut some budget or something. So the people that were specifically for these props had to leave early. So they had a PA or whoever take care of that, and they didn't know how to check. So a part of the bullet was lodged in. They didn't see it. So then they reloaded.
With blanks, yeah.
Right. And then once that happened, that lodged one acted like an actual bullet. And that's what happened.
And apparently, when it did happen, they weren't even clear what actually happened to him.
Right.
That there was like no blood really. They didn't know he actually had taken a shell into his abdomen. And what I didn't know, and I as well read up on it, was it was like 30 hours in the hospital trying
Really?
to revive him.
Damn.
And they weren't able to do it, obviously. He was so young, like 27. Now, how old was his dad, who also died and really young?
I don't know.
I think he was
his
also
dad.
like in his 20s.
Bruce Lee.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Oh my
You're like,
god.
I was just
That's
kidding.
not even funny.
I'm not trying to make a joke.
Yes, you
I
were.
think he was in
33.
His 33.
Really?
Okay.
Bruce Lee was 33
Yeah, he
when
was
he
Yes,
very
sir.
young.
When
very
did he
young.
have his kid?
Well,
85. Oh wait, no, not 85. What am I talking
No,
about?
'cause he would've been
no,
like
65.
He was 27 in 93. He died in 93, so whatever.
Well, 65.
70 something.
Yeah, so when they passed, they had to do a lot of rewrites. But what's crazy to me is the fact that, and I get it, money, whatever, but if morally I wouldn't want to continue
Well,
doing a movie if someone had died.
that's why
Or
Paramount
had been killed
Yeah.
on the set
Exactly.
of the
Right,
movie.
Paramount dropped it.
dropped it, and then Miramax picked it up.
Oh.
And then I think...
Can you imagine that poor actor who pulled the trigger?
And I think to everyone but I think Ernie Hudson came back to finish, because I think Ernie Hudson, someone had like just died or something in his family or something. So he's like, I don't want to come back after the accident.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Ghostbusters guy too.
He has a name, Ernie Hudson.
I don't want to stay somber on this. I mean, I think it's an interesting
we got to it soon.
legacy of the film, and why I think. Well, I think it's why the film obviously got a lot of, like I said, it heightened everybody's interest for sure. But
do you know? Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go on.
No, I was going to roll into a whole new direction.
I was just saying, no, because we were talking about finishing the film. Does anyone know who Brandon Lee's stunt double was that
No.
finished the film? I'm really bad at pronouncing last names.
Good.
Chad Stileski.
Who's that?
Who
No
is he?
fucking way.
Yeah.
Who is he?
He's a stunt coordinator, or he started off as a stunt coordinator, and then he went on to direct
John Wick.
John Wick.
Oh wow.
John Wick 2, right?
I think he did all four.
He did all four. The first one was a dub, like a directing team, and then he did the rest, and then he did Deadpool 2, right?
No.
No? Oh no, different thing.
No, that Deadpool 2 was the guy who then directed Terminator Dark Fate.
Oh wow, that's cool.
But anyways,
Fate.
You guys want to know who was in the sequels, though? Just to throw that out there right now.
Yes.
Kirsten Dunst,
What?
Iggy Pop, and Tara Reid.
That's
Those are three different
Odd.
people who were in three different sequels.
odd.
Yes.
That's really random. Travis, do you want to talk about the director?
yes, I
Oh,
do.
Alex Proyas.
Oh,
Proyas.
Oh, yeah, go. Yeah. Who is he, Frank?
He's directed some pretty cool stuff.
You think so?
I think so. Have you seen Dark City?
No, like none of
That's-
these have interested me.
And Frank actually turned me on to that movie.
Ew.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Is Dark City was that Bruce Willis movie? What was Dark City?
That Dark City was with Rufus Sewell and Kiefer Sutherland. Oh,
Okay.
and Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, I would say Alex Proyas only really did one movie that I didn't
like. Was it Gods of
I,
Egypt?
Robot.
Yes, Gods of Egypt.
Yeah.
I didn't see the whole thing. I saw like 2 minutes. I was like, this is pretty stupid.
I thought iRobot was pretty good.
I
and,
liked it.
I thought
I was
Knowing was
whatever
pretty
about it.
good.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Knowing was okay.
But he started out in music videos, which I feel like had a lot of influence in this movie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
sure. I didn't know that, but yes, absolutely.
But, and even then, like, it's looked like, so the look of, if you liked the visual style of The Crow, I think Alex Proyas definitely brings it. So it's a very, very broad example. Not example, is imagine like The Matrix a little bit, but kind of with someone like the lighting and imagery of like The Crow.
For this movie?
Yeah, and that's Dark City for you.
Which is an interesting point because the sets for Dark City were reused for scenes in The Matrix.
Yeah, but
Oh my God.
and
Yes.
Dark City came out a year before The Matrix, but Matrix had bullet time, so everyone was like, "Whoa!" But
so it was kind of forgotten and
yeah,
all that
but
craze.
I think that Dark City went. We're not even talking about the movie for the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know why we're
So
talking
let's
about
go
Dark
back. Let's
City.
go back.
we talk
I
about
would like
we
to-
talk about movies.
Let's
so
talk
I mean,
about
But I like to talk about
The Crow
the
specifically.
style and the. This is way deeper into my notes, but the thing that really stuck, my initial reaction to this movie, outside the fact that I feel like the first act was literally 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even tell you where Act 1 and Act 2. I mean, you can only call Act 1 the setup. It's all you
Yeah.
can call Act 1. He immediately comes out of the grave and immediately goes on a vengeance, and now that's the plot. Because everything else that happens in the plot, this is not a summary, but because I want to talk about kind of the style, but everything else that happens in the plot doesn't in any way really, and we can discuss this, advance the plot. because the plot is really just
No.
kill
It's very
everybody and
simple.
kill
And-
him.
and revenge.
But all those other scenes with the bad guy, and we can talk about all these characters, and we should. All the other scenes with the super head mob bad guy. That dialogue between him and that girl is like, are you kidding me? This
think
is
you and
not
I are on the same
advancing
path.
anything in this story. It's all moody. It's all trying to be cool. And I got to tell you, those hoodlums, they were like stooges. They were so over the top and so
I
ridiculous.
don't know why.
And again, I'm not saying whether I liked or didn't like the movie, because we'll get into that. I'm just saying my reaction I was watching, like,
it's-
wow.
Dan,
It's very distinct.
well,
Yes.
in my response to
But it's also borrows from a lot of other movies, in my
Yeah.
opinion. The way it looks, it's very DC looking to me. It's very Batman looking.
It's very
And he looked
Tim,
like the Joker.
It's Tim Burton. It's Tim Burton's
Oh, well,
Batman.
you know, it's
He
funny.
looked like the Joker.
It's funny you say that because
Wait, who looks
when
like the Joker?
The
Crow?
The Crow.
I mean, in
Draven?
an interpretation of the Joker,
Right,
obviously.
yeah.
When the Dark Knight was coming out and they had those first shots of what the Joker looked like, it was
The Jack
actually,
Nicholson Joker? Or that-
no, the
Heath
other
Ledger.
one,
Heath Ledger.
the Heath Ledger Joker.
later,
The common complaint was, "Oh, that looks like the Crow." So it's funny that you say that.
Well,
'cause-
and that and so I say that, and maybe I'm stepping in the wrong direction, because when I was watching The Crow, I was like, this just looks like a Batman movie.
It looks like Gotham.
It looks
It's
like
Gotham.
But then I thought, did my image of all this DC stuff, is this after The Crow?
Yeah.
well,
I think-
Batman
Because the
'89.
first Batman movie was '89 with Jack Nicholson,
And then
it
was
But those
92
movies didn't
was-
look the same as they look. I mean, it's very Tim Burton. You're right. I didn't
Yeah.
think of that. It's a very Tim Burton look the movie has.
Yeah. Well,
But you know what? There's something similar with that '89 Batman and this one that always sticks with me is that they feel very heightened. Like this is, I didn't even realize this at first, but this takes place in Detroit. It just feels
I
like
never knew that.
well,
it feels like at the same time like a real city, but also very
Made up.
made up, like isolated little environment. If that makes
I
sense.
felt like I was really locally. I was wherever I was only in one part of that city. You
Yes.
know what I mean? I never
Yeah.
really. We were just in that ghetto or wherever. I guess kind of a ghetto is
Yeah.
where we were. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, I feel like, see, one thing that I know people always complain about, not with this movie, but just some movies in general, is they always say, it's always like the debate with like style over substance. But I feel like, even though I will say this movie is a lot more style over substance, I don't feel like it's a bad thing for this movie. Because I feel like with, a movie called The Crow and everything, I feel like this movie is kind of telling its story more visually than it is with the plot. Because it's a very thin plot. You
You're
know
kind
what
of
I mean?
saying the
There
style.
is no plot. They save it. I think this movie, you watch it more. I mean, it started out as a comic book. It's based
It's a graphic novel.
graphic novel, yeah. But with that too, because I know you said, I think Frank brought up too, he said that it's more heightened. I feel like this movie kind of started, because it came out in '94, it kind of started that trend that kind of like took off in the early 2000s, where it was like, oh, we're gonna like take an action movie and just stylize it and heighten up a little bit. And then you kind of had all those like did you ever see the movie like Jet Li's The One?
No.
Oh, where you just kind of have these like kind of over stylized
God.
like action movies that kind of came out.
Well, The Matrix would fit it. Not Matrix. The other one he does. John.
John Woo,
John Wick.
No. Who stars in The Matrix?
Keanu
What's his
Reeves.
other series?
John
John
Wick.
Wick.
John
Wick.
Wick.
I thought you said John Woo. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about
John
I did
Wick
say
is
John
like
Wick.
that. There's no plot.
Well, because and then Frank too, because I was gonna say is I feel like what this movie kind of, I don't even want to say he took him, but it reminds me of a lot too is like Todd McFarlane, the comic book writer.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of took his style, because I mean you can even say it reminds me a lot too of Spawn, like kind of the look of the film a little bit.
The movie.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I feel like
Yes.
this one was kind of the start where you started to get like those over the top movies that kind of branched out, like over stylized, like after this movie.
And we know they're rebooting it, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
they've been trying to reboot it.
Yeah, they've been talking about
it's,
that.
It's coming out in 2024.
Yeah,
I just read an article today.
I
they
think
already-
Lionsgate picked it up.
And what's his name starring in it? The guy.
Skarsgård?
It, yeah.
That's something.
Who else? I
it's-
had written
it's
down.
I think it's literal. I think it's really happening.
Who's directing it?
It's
Rupert
sat
Sanders.
For 15 years. It's sat in development.
Rupert Sanders.
He did Snow White.
Yeah.
So my feeling was when I was watching this, since we brought that part up, was that I was watching going, wow, if they made this movie today, it would be so much more graphic than this movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
The movie's not graphic at all.
No.
I mean, it cuts away from everything that would be graphic. But now that they're making it again, look out, folks! It's gonna make *Malignant* look like a
Hot Top-
freaking Disney movie.
Hot Topic sales are going to go through the roof.
Oh, I can't even imagine how violent this thing's gonna be. So anyway, so we talked a little bit about the style. I agree with you. We're kind of in the ghetto. It felt so Gotham to me.
Yeah.
And just raining all the time. Finally,
It was very
finally they
moody.
It was like
commented
it was like an Evanescence music video.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean,
It
like,
did have a real music video feel
that's
to it,
what
I
and I
agree.
guess that's what I was trying to say. Like, you know, like, because you had, and I'm sorry, I keep going back to this, but like, I don't know, it kind of took that music video style editing, like I said, that came out in like those early 2000s. I feel like this is kind of the start of it.
well, this movie was like heavily emo, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my point.
super emo.
Daredevil.
For those who don't know what you're talking about, what is emo from our listeners who are like me?
The way you were feeling when you were in high school.
You know what? Let me pull up an actual.
I might have felt different when I was in high school.
Oh, then
I
lucky
think things
you.
were still in black and white when I was in high school.
Emo is a style of rock music resembling punk, but having more complex arrangements and lyrics that deal with more emotional subjects.
Okay.
It's turned into kind of like, I wouldn't say a joke, but it's more like an
It's kinda
insult
like
in a way.
It's kind of like a jab, a little bit.
Like, oh, you're being emo today. And
Interesting.
you just,
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
was in high school, it was Led Zeppelin and The Who.
Yeah, that's not emo.
No,
that's cool.
just good music.
Right.
Oh, here we go. An emo
Okay, old
person
man.
is a fan of emo, especially a person who is overly
You
sensitive.
can't use the word in the
emotional.
definition.
Emo, right here.
That's true. You should.
No. This is for an emo person, so you can use it because emo, the music style, is related.
My
to
Chemical
this.
Romance.
Yeah, it's angsty, basically.
Angsty, there you
That's
go.
the word. I was like, yeah.
Angst.
There you
See.
go. Okay.
And I feel like this movie kind of popularized it with people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or
No,
with
I,
This
popular.
movie's
Yeah.
definitely angsty.
no.
Yes.
The two movies that I think are the reason Hot Topic exists is The Lost Boys
and The
then
Crow.
The Crow.
Yeah, pretty much. The origin story.
That's the origin story of Hot Topic.
But I want to go back to what you said about style over substance. I feel like that for certain movies, and this is probably like an overly used phrase, but I feel like the style is the substance.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And I
yeah.
think this movie fits that. I think
Yep.
going into it, especially blind, probably not what you're expecting at first. So you kind of get caught off guard. But I feel like as the movie goes, you kind of like
I
pick up on it, and
Yeah,
you
for
kind
sure.
of like, tune into what it's trying to do. Whether it succeeds or not is one thing, but you kind of like tune into, oh, this is the style they're going for. This
absolutely.
Is
I
I
think
think-
the director was very committed to this
Frank,
style. I don't think it. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I think the style was very clear from the get go.
Yes.
Like from the crow flying through and the fake ass fire.
yeah.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you again for decrypting what I'm trying to say.
And
Yeah.
the different
You're very
rates
good
that
at
the
that.
crow flew at.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
could just really tell
Just
that
erratic.
they were slowing down.
Emo.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
it's not like emo.
and on
Super
the
emo.
opposite too, where I will say like clear definition, I love these movies, but I got to jab at them. Is the complete opposite, where it's like, no, that's just style. There's no something. Is those like, especially later on, like Resident Evil movies,
I knew you were gonna say
where
that.
you're just like, there's nothing here. I have no idea what's going on.
Those movies are just style. There's no substance in any of those.
But I mean, there's not a lot of substance in this movie. There's a ton of style and
Yeah.
and mood and,
And-
everything
and-
else.
and-
But it's the plot is just really simple. And
Yeah.
I think I was only
It's so
derailed.
clear.
I was only derailed by the things that they felt they needed to add.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
dialogue seems like, why are you getting in the way of this very simple plot by
Yeah.
making me think I should be interested in you? I'm not interested in you, bad guy. You're boring the fuck out of me.
'Cause-
You and your girlfriend's sister? Was that even
That's-
intimated? That was so stupid.
No, half sister slash. No, yeah, it's his half sister slash lover.
I mean, I say stupid only because I was just sitting there going, I don't care about any of this. Let's just get on
If
with
they
revenge.
removed those two characters and just kept the hoodlums,
Just yeah.
it's
would've worked
fine.
fine.
Wasn't
we're
it
good.
Tiny?
Yeah.
What's the name? Tiny Dynamite or something?
I found it just so in the way
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
this simple
And he
story.
himself
I
is
also
just
found the
horrible.
cop story in the way, and I love Ernie Hudson. I mean, I don't love him, but he's a good guy. But
Do you love Ernie Hudson?
I thought he was in the way. I didn't see where he helped the plot.
He just
any.
had to be the friendly
the
guy.
we have
The
the little
sidekick.
girl. Okay, I'm fine with that. I can hang with that.
The little girl reminded me of the boy from The Room.
Wait, oh.
Denny
Yeah, because she just
She's
pops
just-
out of
yeah.
nowhere.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, what you doing?
never closed the
But
door.
how early in this movie, maybe it was just me, but I have a feeling it wasn't. How early in this movie did you say to yourself, oh, she's going to be captured by the bad guy and there's going to be a whole standoff thing where
Oh,
she's
absolutely.
going
I
to
think
be...
as
From
I
the
mean,
beginning.
that's why she's there.
As
Yeah.
soon as he came back to life, I knew what the last act was gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's the way
It's a
told.
simple movie.
It's the way it's
No,
like
it's a very,
like
again, there's
Dan.
just things I would love to have just
Like-
extracted from it, so I
And-
could have just stayed with it.
I wonder how much of that is a result of having to rewrite the movie,
Well,
and
see,
how
I didn't
much
know
of
all
it,
that. I think you're right.
and how much of it is them trying to adapt whatever the comics did that this movie doesn't do.
That's a good question.
I feel like I'm just coming up with examples on that. But like I think another one.
Of movies that I've never seen or
no,
heard
you have.
of.
If you've never seen this one, you've seen this one for sure. Is another one where you, in the end, when you think about it, it's a very simple story, but I think it's just the visuals and style that,
What's the movie?
it's Blade Runner.
Oh, for sure.
When you think about it, it's a very simple story, but the style heightens the movie. And I will say,
For sure.
I feel like it's the same way with The Crow.
I feel like
Yeah,
for
no, I
the
can see what you're
original,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like how dramatic he was when he first came back and
Right
went-
away.
and that, but also when he
I mean, he went back to
followed
his
the
apartment.
crow. Yep, and then he's just like crying, and it's the definition of being emo, crying about it and then putting makeup on. I'm
On
just like,
topic.
I know.
People always do that in Hot
That
Topic.
was just so
I'm just like,
music
all right,
video.
girl.
Dramatic.
Okay, here's
Too
the
dramatic.
deal.
In a bubble, I loved it.
It was a year later, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So that white, fluffy, clean cat who hasn't eaten in a year sure looked good to me.
right.
That cat was
She looked
so
fluffy.
just clean and
Well, Dan,
living in a dump.
Dan, cats have 9 lives. It was on not life like 8.5.
Is that
It's like if
life?
you're
No, it was
gone
on
for
life
another
7.
week. If you're gone for
7
another
or
week.
6.
That was crazy. Yeah, I agree. I thought that whole scene felt like a music video to me.
Well, I
The
mean,
whole
it was.
movie.
It,
Slow-mo.
The whole movie.
Yeah.
it was a musical montage, of course.
It really was.
But then he brought out the guitar, and I'm like, oh my
Can you
god.
imagine?
Starts wearing the guitar hanging off his shoulder.
You know how people like
Why?
recut movie scenes and they're like, oh, the music makes a difference.
Yeah.
I want to see that whole scene, but someone put in Hall & Oates, You Make My Dreams.
That would be great. Why don't you just do it? That's a hilarious idea.
What I wanted.
I could see that working.
Do it.
Don't
Now-
tell me what to do.
If you have any other ideas, comment and be like, what would you like to see mashed up together?
I thought the lighting was great in this movie.
A lot of blues.
A lot of blues and a lot of reds. Like the flashback to what happened in the apartment. Was not a fan of what was happening, but the way
No.
they shot it and the lights they used,
Yeah.
it reminded me of like
And how they cut it too.
Natural Born Killers, like in the diner with the green light. I really
Sure.
liked it.
Never seen
Yeah.
it.
No, finally something.
You've
Uh,
never seen
you know
Natural
what?
Born
No,
Killers?
earlier I said I've never seen American Psycho either.
I've
Well,
never
that's-
seen American Psycho.
That's
No,
fine.
okay. No, I've seen like an hour in.
it's
I saw
okay.
like 30 minutes. Like
Okay.
I
The
saw,
moment has passed.
Yeah,
I
it's
saw
fine.
the scene
It's-
with Willem Dafoe.
The moment has passed.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
I will say I appreciated how they handle that scene though.
Yeah.
Like it's just enough to tell you what happened, but
Right.
not enough that it kind of makes it a spectacle.
You don't get too uncomfortable.
Well, they
Yeah.
didn't- yeah. I mean, that's kind of the whole movie was like that, and the way they handled the action and the violence.
and that goes
they-
back to like if it was
They
filmed
won't-
today,
I'm sorry, they
nothing
won't-
was left to
They
like.
won't do that today.
Yeah.
They're gonna make it a big old bloody
Yeah.
gut fest.
Do you think so? You don't think they're gonna try to go for the stylized?
They might go stylized, but
But
they're
I
definitely
think
not
they're
doing
not- what I think
PG-13.
They're not gonna
No, it's
leave your
No,
imagination to anything. I guarantee
I
you.
think it's just gonna be like, okay, let's use like these dramatic lighting, but all the fighting is just gonna look like John Wick. I think that's all it's gonna be.
I do too.
Because
That'd be
that's
cool.
every movie now that has fighting just looks like John Wick.
I gotta tell you, I mean, this is just classic Hollywood, but that shootout scene I mean, how many bullets you've got in that gun, buddy?
That's
In
like
where?
every
Yeah.
In which
But
one?
The shootout scene
But
at-
even sometimes you just go, "This is
Oh.
excessive." Like
300 bullets.
I agree with you, but sometimes it's just
Wait a
way
minute.
too-
Yeah,
it's like,
what-
can we just reload one time? Can I just see you put a cylinder?
Put a clip in.
Put a clip in.
Oh, and yeah, and that's why I like John Wick, because then he just throws the clip out.
I love it.
Yeah, I agree.
No, but it's fun. But then again, if you saw him reloading and didn't see him reloading, you're like, well, if he doesn't reload, it's like that's part of the fun of the movie.
Yeah, you're either committing to the reality of your gun
This-
or you're throwing it out the window, and so whatever.
But this whole
Yeah.
movie's
You know
like
what I mean?
over stylized. So it's like, him not reloading, that actually kind of worked. In this universe, you would not have to reload. You would not have to get gas in the morning on your way to work.
He
Just
did
have
reload. It was
unlimited.
just when the camera wasn't on him.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. When the cat.
Sam.
Yeah. You know?
So, what did you think about the Goonies, the Three Stooges,
The cronies.
the Stooges,
The
man?
Boss.
That was just.
Was one of them? I think one of
they
them was
were
named.
whacked,
One of
man.
them was
And their
named
dialogue was
Tiny or
whacked.
something, right?
Yeah, no, it was Tintin Fun
Tintin,
Boy.
yeah.
that whole scene in the alley with the
T-Bird.
black
What'd you
guy.
call me?
That was
T-Bird. That's what they call me.
Tintin.
You said skank.
Oh,
What'd you call me?
Skank was the one that got thrown out the window.
Oh.
right. That
Oh,
was
yeah,
with,
yeah,
what's
yeah.
Her, with the little girl's mom,
Yes.
who was the
Yeah.
Oh no, that I think that was Fun Boy.
And then
No,
she
Fun Boy
was
was the one with
clean
the
the next.
car.
She was clean the next morning making breakfast.
He pushed the drug out of her arm.
I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool.
Okay.
As far as like,
But he loaded the guy up with
You know,
how many?
Yeah, like 5-6 needles
Dan.
in the chest.
in a world where
In a world.
yeah, in a world,
I wanted to do that.
in a world where if you stop someone's immortality by hurting the crow, I can accept that no one has to reload.
But also the
I'm
crow.
with you on that one.
Wait,
Except-
the crow didn't die.
No, the crow got hurt, so that's why he temporarily lost.
Yeah, that.
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
okay,
as
okay.
well. He just. A crow is like this big. One
Yeah.
bullet hits that crow anywhere.
It explodes.
That crow is
And then,
not gonna
right,
survive.
immediately the crow was fine. But then also,
It's a
complained
chain
about
effect
something.
because that crow, another crow is keeping that crow alive.
His final destination.
I wonder how many crows are just flying around this universe resurrecting people.
Oh yeah, instantly.
God. No, and then he transferred his pain. Who do you transfer
Yeah,
his
to the
pain
to the drug dealer, the
To
one that
that
flew
guy.
out the
To-
window.
And,
The
like-
guy who flew out the window.
I
How
know.
did that happen?
I don't know.
I
In
know.
a world
I
where a crow.
I'm telling you,
don't have to
Sam. There were things that
reload.
happened where I went.
These
I
are the
don't know how
powers
that
of
I
happened.
understand.
crow.
Okay, you can see through the crow's eyes, but like the pain, my guy.
In a world, where you don't.
But they did earlier in the film set that up in some way.
Yeah,
where he did
Ernie
Some-
Hudson's
with
character.
Ernie
No,
Hudson,
right,
right?
yeah, where he-
So they kind of said, I mean, we're making this stuff up, and you got to accept it. I mean, I agree with you 100% because I went, really?
I mean,
It's a movie called The Crow, Sam.
it's
was-
it's very much in the vein of like Ghost Rider.
Yeah, the
Did not
penance
like that
there.
movie.
And
Penance there.
but that was one of those scenes, that sword fight on the rainy rooftop where the girls hang
On the what
That was-
top?
on the rainy rooftop,
Rough top.
rough top,
Rough tip.
the roof tip, where I was like, wouldn't it be cool if the bad guy just kind of did himself in,
Or he
Yeah.
just like fell through.
or just did something where he did himself in?
Yeah.
I feel like that could have been an appropriate way to get rid of him. He just felt like that dude needed to misstep in some way,
I mean, they still
not
could have.
slip and fall. Whoa!
You know what they could have
Slow-mo?
done? They could have done the exact same thing they did, and then just have it be that the pain was too much, that the guy just offed himself. I feel like that would have
Sure,
worked.
I could go with that. Just something different than what they did.
You mean the big Hollywood ending that they
Yeah,
did?
the big Hollywood finish.
I
It
did-
definitely felt like we got to make this this third act needs to be big.
They made the third act a lot bigger than the first act.
What
Yes.
first act?
First act was over when the credits were over.
Yeah,
This is a
if
two-act
you
movie.
if you were late to your if there was like that extra if there was like 3 people ahead of you at the concession stand, you missed it.
You have no idea what's going on.
You missed it.
I will say, I did find the ending kind of touching. When he goes back to his grave and she shows up and they have that little moment
yeah.
together. I actually got a little,
Tear-eyed.
I felt like I could.
Dan
but
had
I just went, oh, that's
emotions.
sweet.
You were feeling emo.
That was
Yeah.
a sweet ending for a movie like this. It came to a nice,
Did
sweet
you cry,
conclusion.
Dan?
Well, it
And I
doesn't-
said to myself,
can't rain all the
there
time.
need to be no
Huh?
sequels here, folks.
And there was
What?
plenty.
But were they?
The
Is it
Crow,
supposed
they
to be
were
the
all
same
direct-
guy?
I think
Is it supposed to
I
be the
don't
same
know.
guy coming out of the grave, or is it supposed to be different people get killed then come out of the grave?
It's supposed to be different people,
Okay,
I think.
that's-
The Crow City of
For
Angels.
what, sequels? We're talking about sequels?
yeah.
Oh.
That's,
The
whatever.
Crow.
it? Do you want to
Crows.
know what's even stupider? That some of their names are like
How about
derivations
his
of
last name,
crows?
Draven, which
Draven.
rhymes with
Derek.
Raven.
Derek.
Clever, huh?
So the
But they
sequel.
couldn't call it the Raven because
No.
that's an Edgar Allan
Yeah.
Poe.
Dan, are you ready to cringe?
I'm ready. I'm
so
cringing
the
already.
sequel lead character is named Ash with an E. Ash
Ish.
Corvin. Okay, wait. We're not done yet. We're not done
We're
yet.
just getting started.
Were any actors I know that played
Um,
these guys?
Kind of. So in that first sequel, you don't know him. Second sequel, The Crow Salvation. You don't know him by
The
name.
Crow
Oh, it
Salvation.
gets
Christian
worse.
Bale.
It
You
gets worse.
You don't know the name, but his name is Eric Mabius. He played the good cop in Resident Evil, the one that gets transformed at the end.
Yeah.
And
I want him part of the
the f-
Nemesis project.
the female lead in that one was Kirsten Dunst.
and
And
then
his name,
Oh.
I like Kirsten
Oh.
Dunst. She's
his
good.
name is Alex Corvus.
and then Alex Proyas. I mean, and then the third sequel stars Chris Isaac.
What?
No, it does
The
not.
Because it's
Singer?
called The Crow Wicked Prayer. That's a joke. It's not really
It's a
Chris
joke.
Isaac.
Oh my god.
The
You're-
actually, you would know this
That I
actor
would
too.
watch.
The third Crow is played by Edward Furlong.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
And the character's name is James Cuervo, which is Spanish for
God.
and Tara Reid's in it.
Crow.
And Dennis,
really?
Dennis Hopper is named El Nino.
Oh, and David Boreanaz is in this one.
And so
my
is
God.
so they
is
just call the Crow
Danny
1, 2,
Trejo.
3, 4, 5.
no, they don't even say the number.
It's the Crow City of Angels, the Crow Salvation, and the Crow Wicked Prayer.
If you went to a video store, you would have no idea what order.
You know who was supposed to play the Crow in the reboot was what's his name? He just directed Maestro. Bradley
Cooper.
He was supposed to
He was,
direct it. or-
he was supposed to play Eric.
I can't see that.
Interesting. I can't
Too
see
old.
that either.
Yeah.
Plus, I just
Well,
don't
this
see
is-
that.
Yeah.
He's not an
this
action
was-
guy.
You
This was several
He
years
was
ago.
in the A Team.
I never saw it.
Oh, that's okay. He was several years for what?
This was several years ago because it's been in development hell since forever.
This one's been developed for 15 years, I think.
if you're
this
Yeah.
reboot.
listening at home, or Dan, I can show you here
Well, if
too.
you're not
anyone?
listening at home, then you're not hearing
or
any
in
of
the
this.
car. I was gonna say, go do yourself a favor. Look up the poster for the Crow Wicked Prayer because the Crow is.
Let me see.
It looks.
Let me see.
I'm surprised David Bowie never played the Crow.
Boy.
It's like when it.
I think wasn't Bowie considered for this one though?
What?
Or I might be wrong. Okay, calm down.
David
know.
Bowie, he's not alive, is he?
No, for the original.
Oh.
I might be wrong.
No, it was Michael Jackson.
There you go.
Yes.
MJ
Yeah, they
was
wanted
supposed to
Michael
play.
Jackson, and because they wanted to be more of
Yeah.
a musical.
Can you imagine what that would have been like?
You guys know who produced these,
thriller?
right? You want to know who produced these?
Hmm.
It's our favorite producer, Edward Pressman. But he produced Phantom of the Paradise and Christmas Evil.
That's our
He
guy.
produced this one?
Yes,
Oh, well,
oh,
you
you
better
did-
answered it.
That's
he's
our
produced
guy.
all the Crow movies.
You know, I was
Ah.
actually,
including the reboot.
Oh no.
I was changing channels the other day on Pluto TV. Christmas Evil was on, and you know what I thought to myself? I don't remember this scene. for those previous episode, I realized I fell asleep in the movie because when we were doing the podcast, I was like, "What are they talking about?" It was called Christmas Evil. I thought he only killed like one person. Maybe 2.
And the fact that you didn't bring it up at all. That
Because I didn't.
That was like our second or third
Yeah.
episode. He was not going to confess
That was
up.
like our 4th episode.
Now he would fess up in a second. I don't know, guys. I slept through that scene.
I didn't realize, because I remember sitting on my chair watching the movie, and then the movie, I don't know
And
when
I
I
was
fell,
2
I don't
days
remember
later.
falling
I'm
asleep.
sure that all of us at this table, except for Frank, have been in one of these podcasts where you go, I don't remember that scene at all. I know it's happened to me.
Oh,
I'll
no,
just
it's
go,
happened to me too.
I
It
have
happens to me,
no
every one of
idea
them.
what they're talking
Didn't that
about right
happen
now.
to you with what?
There was a scene where I was
You
talking
confe- oh.
about, and you were like, I didn't remember
Yeah,
that.
you confessed it. I was like, Dan, I got a confession. I fell asleep during Christmas Evil, I think. What movie?
I did. There was something where I was like, I have no idea what you guys are
No,
talking
there
about.
was something
It's like a
I
big
confessed
chunk
that
of a
I
movie.
fell
I couldn't-
asleep during a movie, and you were like, oh.
Phantom of the Paradise, I
Yeah,
think.
and then you're like, oh, well, I have a confession.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird when you
Listen up.
suddenly you find yourself talking about a part of a movie and you go, I have no idea
Like,
what
what are
you're
you
talking
talking
One
about.
day I
about?
just want to pull a prank on you, Dan. I'm already telling you. I was like, everyone talk about the movie and just talk about
And just
scenes,
make something up.
make stuff up.
Well, it was like that scene, the scene in the boardroom. I don't think it was this. No, it wasn't. It was the first scene where with his girlfriend / sister in the
Half
bed
sister.
with the
half sister.
It's still as bad. It does,
I know.
It's still as bad.
I know. I'm not. Hey, I'm
You're
not.
not helping this any. And the dead girl in the bed, and they have that whole dialogue. And I was staring at the TV, and at the end of the scene, I went, I have no idea what I just watched. So I backed it up to watch it again. I went, oh, no, I was paying attention. There's absolutely no reason. This is a stupid fucking scene. This dialogue is so lame.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
understand, Dan. You don't
lame
like the
because
dialogue.
it's lame because it's trying to be so introspective and trying to be so cool.
So
and
moody.
I'm really getting deep into something. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, for me, during that scene, I
I
was like,
like her eyes.
that scene, I was like, I hope she pokes her eye out. And then it cuts to.
Well, they'll show it in the reboot. They'll show her
No.
dig those eyes right out of her
That's
skull.
true. But what made me cringe was Draven just reciting poems.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay. That's cute.
yeah, I agree.
Why?
Something rapping at my chamber door.
I actually looked up Brandon Lee after the movie. I was curious about a little more of his background. I mean, I obviously knew who he was, but he actually went to Lee Strasberg Institute. He actually went to like acting. I'm not sure. Well, I was going to ask you, what do you think of Brandon Lee's acting?
I think
I
it's
thought it was good.
pretty good.
Yeah. He's been in other things, but I don't know what else he was
See,
in.
I've never seen him in anything. This
Yeah,
is the only thing
same.
I've ever seen him in, so I have nothing to reference outside of this movie. And I kept thinking, is it him, or is it just the mood of the movie, the style of what we're doing? I wasn't that crazy about him.
Really?
I mean, I thought he looked great. I mean, in terms of, I'm not saying he was miscast in any way. I don't know. There was something.
It's 'cause
maybe it was the dialogue. Maybe it was what he was having to say that felt so awkward at times.
Yeah, it's very stagey.
Yeah, and that might really be what it is. But he was a good-looking guy.
Oh, very good looking.
I think he was very charismatic.
Very.
I just think
charismatic.
the
I think you're right. I think it was just what he was having to say.
yeah, I think that the style of the movie doesn't really lend him to show too much range, but what he does do, I feel like it definitely makes it more interesting to watch and keep paying attention, I guess.
Yeah. You could definitely tell he was in pain that his fiance died. Like, it was conveyed very well.
Yes. It was emotion.
I'm good for final thoughts. There were parts where it kind of felt like a Tarzan movie to me, like Tarzan and Metropolis.
That's never something I. Well, I mean, okay.
Wait, what? There was like,
No, well,
Yeah.
and that-
he almost kind of looked like Tarzan sometimes. In the way they.
I will go with that when you said Metropolis, because I think too it's very much because like you said, Tim Burton, it's Batman. We talked about that, which is I think already like Tim Burton's style is heavily lifted from like German Expressionism,
Oh yeah, 100%.
which is where
Whose style, sorry?
German Expressionism.
No,
Tim
whose
Burton.
style? Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Tim Burton, and I'm like, that's his. So that's where I mean, I see Metropolis in there too. Dan, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Did you want to do final thoughts?
I'll
then?
do my final thoughts.
Yeah, I do not want to go first because
So, in case you all didn't realize, I do.
I like this movie. You don't have to like
I didn't
this
say
movie.
that. You do have to like this movie. Yeah, I like have only maybe said that in 1 or 2 episodes.
You said it
That's
a
like,
lot.
I've said it like
Yeah, it
3
is
times.
true. You haven't said that much, but it's it's indelible. I can't get it out once I hear you say, I like this movie.
If you don't like this movie,
Okay, so anyways, I'm trying to talk here. So,
Wow.
I do like this movie. Sorry. Now y'all staring at me. Dan,
well,
go
you're
ahead.
You're talking.
I'm
Go.
not-
Sam, go ahead.
I'm not going
No,
first.
go.
Go ahead.
You go.
You go.
Are you trying to tell me what to do?
No, you
Let
can
go.
do whatever you want.
Travis, you like the movie. That's great. Go.
I'm trying to summarize my thoughts here.
Okay, do you want me to go first then?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Sam, go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think this movie, from this, it's very, like I said, very music video, kind of like the almost heightened. Like you have this, and then right after you had like Daredevil, you had Queen of the Damned, you had like, hold on, I had my list right here. That's what I was looking at. So you also had Spawn, you had Mission Impossible 2, you had Triple X, which I think all took like the soundtrack that's in The Crow. I think it was all where it was like, okay, well, we're gonna like use music and heightened reality as like a style in our movies, which I think kind of started with The Crow, which is what started that trend in like the early 2000s, where it's like, oh, you have like an action movie or horror movie, we're gonna have like storybook style credits, and we're gonna have like the opening credits be fire and they disappear and go over the screen. I think it's very much inspired. I think this movie, I think it's definitely like style, and I think it was a big sleeper hit in the theaters. It didn't. I don't think it opened well, but it ended up making like almost $100 million from a 98, almost $100 million from like a $23 million dollar budget. So I think it definitely has its fan, and I think it definitely inspired a lot of movies because it was a sleeper hit. I think it's we might not say like, oh, like I said, it's not like a deep story, which we've said. The writing's not the best writing, but I think the movie just lives on from its style, and it inspired so many other movies and so many other trends. And Dan's shaking his head. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, and like I said,
I'm listening to what you're saying, though. I'm thinking about what you're saying.
This movie and The Lost Boys inspired what my ranking is going to be. Is I give this one 4 out of 5 Hot Topics.
Damn it.
Sam, you got this one?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready to rock?
If I had seen this in high school, I would have loved this movie.
Coolest movie ever.
Yeah. I think I would have given it a 4 out of 5. I felt like I was moody. Whatever about it, the style, I think I would have really, not related to it, but I really liked it. But it's changed. So
Your adult brain.
my adult brain doesn't relate to my high school brain. I think it's clear what the story's about. It's about revenge, and it's clear who the protags and the antags are. But there's not much more depth to any of that. So once you see who these people are, once you're able to identify story and whoever, that's pretty much it. And I agree with Dan. I feel like it dragged on a little bit. It's an hour and 40. I feel like if you cut out a lot of the characters, it could have easily been like a 120. But I think the cinematography and the lighting's great. Again, high school self would have given a 4 to 5, but for me right now, I'm going to give it rounded up from a 2.99 to a 3 out of 5 overdrawn lips.
Speaking of overdrawn lips, that was funny. I was just looking at the poster, one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool poster.
Okay, so this
do
is
like that one.
actually the Mondo.
This is great for a podcast, by the way,
I'm
showing us
explaining.
posters.
If you look it up, if you were listening, the Mondo poster, which when it originally came out, it was $55. And now if you go online and you want to
$20,000.
if you want to buy the poster, it goes for anywhere between $600 to $800.
No, it doesn't.
That's
Yes, it does.
expensive.
Not with my money.
Well, you're not the one buying it.
Should we do Frank's first and then you last?
Yes.
That's what we always do. Dan will
We
then go.
always do
This is
Dan
why you're
last.
all. Dan will go. This is why this movie sucks.
Okay, go Frank.
You know me well.
Yay.
Unless you're heavily on medication and you watch
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale with cheese.
I think a lot of it does have to do with when you watch the movie.
Yes.
I mean, like I said before, the movie, and I feel like we all agree on this, the movie's not complicated. It's very simple. But that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
No. And
I just think
Absolutely not.
if you're going into this movie looking for like layers to dig into, you're gonna be disappointed. It's within the first like 7 minutes, like you said, you get like a murder and a resurrection and then like a revenge plot. And it's like, oh shit. And then the rest of the movie is just a revenge plot. So it doesn't really give you anywhere else to go. It's kind of like on the same level the whole time. But I think it's a pretty entertaining level. It's just like I said, it's not a complicated movie.
But
so
Frank, you also got to think like at that time when that movie came out, there was nothing else like that.
no, yeah, and that's why I'm saying like
Yeah.
it depends on judging by going by our ages. The earlier you saw it, the less you see this movie in other movies.
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's exactly.
And that makes it harder to separate it
Exactly.
and really like give it its due as its own thing, because it's a cult classic. It inspired a lot of style that would come up, in future movies, and there's been movies that have come out that have either done it better now, or kind of taken things that this movie does and done different things with them to the point that they overshadow this movie. But I don't think that's it. I don't think it's bad to acknowledge it. After all, we are talking about movies like as a whole, and how at this point I'm kind of rambling because it's like, just like the movie, there's not a lot to say about it. You either like it or you don't. But I am a very visual consumer of things, so of movies. So if it's got good visuals, it's at least above like a 2.5. And I think this movie has a lot of really good cinematography. Like you said, the lighting is really good. Even though the music's really emo-y, I think it fits. I think Brandon Lee did a great job with what he has. Again, surface level character, not a lot of places you can go with it, but I think he does a really good job. Everything else is like meh, but I think it more than makes up for it. So I think I'm gonna have to give it a very nostalgic 4 out of 5 crows.
Oh, City of
Whoa.
Angels.
Yeah.
I think the fact that the movie was sort of a trendsetter in terms of style, I think forces me to kind of elevate my opinion of it, because when I was watching the movie, I just kept going, this movie's okay, but it just feels like so many other movies I've already seen. But a lot of those movies I've already seen were made after that movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to be fair to the movie, you kind of have to kind of erase that, or not erase it, but at least give it its due.
Yep.
Because it did start something. The simplicity, the style over substance conversation we've been having, I think is great, and I think this is a great example. My biggest problem is not the substance. I understood what was going on, and I knew the journey I was going to go on. I was just annoyed by all the detours the substance kept taking. Like, I've already said this. I don't want to keep repeating myself. There were just scenes where I was like, we don't need this scene. This is not advancing anything. Let's just stick with what we've got and just keep going with it. I think that would have been better for me, for sure. So... it's really well shot. It does have a real music video feel to it, but that's okay. The music is, what do we call it, emu?
Emo.
Emo. Emu. Isn't emu a character?
Well, I mean, what you
Emu
have like
is a
you have
bird.
What, yeah, you
Yeah.
have what the Crow, not the Crow. You have the Cure. You have
Nine Inch Nails, Rage Against the
Rage Against the
Machine.
Machine.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
The
for
machine.
emo?
No, I'm just saying it's the soundtrack.
right, and it feels, it kind of all works when you're watching it. I agree though. I think my young self, I think if I had seen it when I was 17, with my friends in a movie theater, especially when it came out, yeah, I probably would have walked out going, "This thing rocked, man. This was cool."
I mean,
I think now it's not as cool for me. So I'm gonna give it a. It's with much mixed feelings because I think the movie deserves a better rating than I'm going to give it, but just the fact that it's I should have seen it in 1994. Let's just put it that way.
not.
I'm going to give the movie a 3 out of 5. Morphine-filled syringes.
That's a good item.
Dan,
Yeah.
I like that.
That scene when they shot and he had all those more syringes in them.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
yeah, if you would have seen this when you were 17, it would have been what, 1917?
1915, actually. I was born in 1898.
You were born in the 18. Yeah,
It would have been a silent movie too.
The Crow. I don't know why I went
This-
like this. I was
but
like,
the thing is, this movie.
I went like a mime
But
for like
think
the
about
Crow.
it. This
silent
movie could have totally worked as a silent movie. Probably would
Oh,
have been
it
better,
could've.
actually. Wouldn't have had to hear that dialogue.
Damn.
Well, you would just
You went
imagine
there.
now like piano covers of like The Cure and like
Hans Zimmer.
I mean, it's like the scene with Ernie Hudson and the girl, and they're sitting at the little diner, and they're talking about hot dogs and what you put on a hot dog. I'm like, going, what are we doing here?
talking about what you put on a hot dog.
Why are we having this?
No,
never have that conversation?
For music, I think it would be a ballad version of like The Cure or like Nine Inch Nails. There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
There were scenes of dialogue that just didn't advance you anywhere. It didn't like give you a little nugget, a little insight to
It's
something.
a
that made
slice
you
of
go,
life, Dan.
"Oh." So you're disagreeing with me?
No, I'm just saying. Sometimes
slice of
No, I
life, Dan.
disagree with you.
Real
don't
dead
attack
in
my
real
Slice
soul,
of
life.
life
please.
is not.
I'm just
slice of life is
joking.
Fine,
I'm just
as long as you
joking.
give me something that's important.
I'm
okay.
just arguing
Damn.
to argue.
Dan, it's a slice of life.
Yeah.
I hate all of you.
Dan's gonna destroy all our crows outside the window, and we're gonna fall down.
What are those things out there?
It's called a crow.
Are those crows? Are they blackbirds? What are they?
You don't
that
know what
live
a
in the
crow is?
valley?
They're,
Is it the same thing? A crow and a blackbird?
you know what's scary?
No, I'm serious. I'm asking seriously.
They're crows.
Those big black birds
yeah,
out
they're
there.
crows.
Wait.
Those
are
things
you,
are nasty, man.
are
I
you
thought
talking
crows
about-
had yellow beaks.
Are you talking about like the San
That's
Francisco?
a pelican.
Are you talking about the ones that
That's a
attack
penguin.
you?
Yeah, the ones that live in the valley. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Those big black
they attack.
birds.
What? I've never gotten attacked before.
No, I've never
Me
been
neither.
attacked.
Oh,
My husband got attacked.
Really?
once. Yeah.
Birdemic.
Where he used to work,
But I've always
they
wondered
would always
what,
perch.
We always call them blackbirds.
and they just randomly flew down and like
Singing in
pecked
the
them.
dead of night.
red-winged blackbirds.
Can I see it?
There you go.
Red
Do they have-
right hand.
These,
Ugh.
Yeah,
I've
those
never
things.
seen those.
Yeah.
I've never seen those either.
They're all over my neighborhood.
they're assholes.
Remind me not to go to your neighborhood when we get out
You're
of this
in my
cabin.
neighborhood
When
right
we get
now.
out of- you live in your neighborhood is the cabin. Were you the original owner of this cabin?
I thought you knew
What
that.
is-
You know what's
talking about?
funny? And Google, the first two things that people also ask is which blackbirds are aggressive and why is a blackbird attacking me?
Why are there so many ostriches?
There was a time where like I walked out of my house and there were a bunch of crows just
It's definitely
lounging
not
around.
a sign.
That's
Yeah,
That's
in
when
my
you just
in
turn
my garden,
around.
and I'm like,
Nope.
that's an omen.
I'm not leaving the house. That's when
No
you say
kidding,
And
right?
I was like, I'm just gonna
I'm
drive
not
really
leaving the
careful.
house
It's
today.
creepy.
Mm-hmm.
They get up on the tree and our magnolia tree in the front yard, and I'm like, this is creepy.
Yeah.
They're just there.
It's even worse when they call your house.
And they call your house.
Well,
Anyway,
you used to call me on my cell
Cell
phone.
So this has been fun. What movie are we watching next week, Frank?
Ain't nothing.
Are you ready to have a good time?
I am Frank.
Well, you're not going to enjoy this one because we're watching
good time.
Strangers in the Alps.
Good Time at
We're
the
watching Good Time.
El Royale.
It's good time, not
Yes.
times. Just good
Not the
time.
show.
No, it's a singular good time.
Just
one
one.
good time.
You're
Where-
allowed one good time, and that's it.
What
Yes.
year did this film come out?
2017.
Oh, it's recent.
Did you say film?
Film.
The film. It's one of the
Willem
Safdies.
Dafoe.
It's the Safdie.
Go ahead, repeat it.
Who's in this movie?
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, really?
And Benny Safdie.
But that's
Robert
not.
Pattinson?
No,
I mean,
it's really
Yay!
good. I mean,
yay. John Leguizamo in as well?
Oh, I love. He's a national treasure.
I love that guy.
No, you don't.
I love
See
that
you next
guy.
week.
All right. This has been fun.
Well, we
So,
just had this conversation.
Like us, share us, review us,
Subscribe us.
subscribe us,
Tell your friends.
give us 5 stars, tell your friends, and we'll see you next time on Strangers in the Alps, a movie podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Travis.
I'm Sam.
Caca.
Caw.
Gun kata?
And that's Frank. And we are...
Ute.
It tastes like food.
Dan, those aren't pillows.
right direction.
Those aren't pillows.